Hey YouTube, West Texas Prepper. I'm going to bring you a bug out camper update. It is August 17th, so it could be a week or so after I've made this before this gets posted. Just give you a heads up. School has started back for me, so my time is very limited. It is a Saturday night. Out doing some work. Kids are out playing. I've got all their bikes repaired, new tubes in, tires on, and so they're out terrorizing the neighborhood, riding around, causing problems out of my hair. So I'm out here working on the camper. I'll give you some updates. One of the some of you have asked me in some PMs that haven't actually posted on the videos about why I don't film more about what I do. Well, part of that is I never know when I'm going to be out here working on the camper. Today I knew I was going to be out here working on the camper, but I've done some work over the past week or so that, you know, I'll get 15 minutes or 10 minutes to come out here and work on this, and you know, I just don't have time to get the camera, get everything set up and do that. Y'all probably noticed I don't do a lot of heavy editing on my videos. I try to shoot everything one time and be done with it, and that's just more efficient for me because of the requirements that I have going on. Enough of that. If you'll see on this blue tape, what I've done is I've gone in and pulled all my fittings off. I'm having some difficulty finding a couple of things at one of the places that I'm trying to do business with, and I'm not going to do business with them anymore. I was actually out there on Saturday or earlier this week trying to pick up some parts, and they gave me the wrong parts. Part of that's my fault for not checking as closely as I did, but I had the kids with me and I was trying to get some stuff done and just wasn't paying attention. So I've finally gone in and I've pulled off all the fittings. I've got them taped up. I'm not worried about getting them cleaned up right now. This one's not a big deal right here. This is just a storage thing, and I'll you can see there's dirt and stuff in there, but I'll get that cleaned out before I do any of this. This stuff will come off. It's the putty that they use. I'm actually going to go back with a silicone around all my fittings and things. That way they'll get a better seal on it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a minute. I've pulled the tail lights off. You can see I've got them, if you can see, I've got them labeled so they can hook back up. But I've got the lights pulled off, got them stuffed so critters and stuff won't crawl in there. I don't know if it's hard to see. I'm going to move around this other side. I have license plate bracket pulled off, the wires exposed on that, same thing, went in labeled. I know you're going to look at these letters. Basically this is green to black, red to yellow, white to white, yellow to red. Why it's like that, I'm sorry. You can see that these don't match up, and it's the same on the other one. Why, I don't know. This is part of the reason why I'm going back with silicone. You can see on these lights how dirty they were inside, and then they had these mats underneath. I haven't cut the wires on these yet. I'm going to wait. But it just really, you know, stuff gets in there, so I'm going to go with a silicone, and part of it is age on this, but I'm just going to go with a silicone, clean all this up real good, and do that, and it'll wind up being a lot better in the long run. All these lights needed to be changed out. They're rotted. There was mold and stuff from light or water getting in there. They were basically sunlight rotted. Some of them were, and so we're just going to go in and change all those out. The tape on these right here, this is where the red lenses went. So I just put a little tape on that to indicate where the red went, and the other ones are amber. Don't have to label those. Like I said, I've got, that's a red light. Have all the fittings pulled over on this side. When I was doing this and pulling something out, I just stuffed some towels in, so I'm going to leave that taped over that. That's a big fitting there. Lights. One thing I was able to find, was able to go in and get a new jack. Price on that's marked $22.50. Guy charged me $8 for it. He said, well, you know, this has been sitting around here forever, and so he charged me $9 for it. So that sort of makes up for the fact that they sort of messed up on my order, but I've still got to drive back out about 15 miles to get back out there. I found another place that has a better stock, better selection. that I'm going to go to, and they're a lot more helpful as I was shopping things around. But they are a little bit further away, but I think because of the customer service that they had there, how friendly the people were, and the staff that they had, they've earned my business. And I'm going to go back out there, and you know, I've got to spend $300-400 on stuff, so they're going to earn my business as far as that goes. So that's where I'm at on the outside. On this, it's been sitting outside. It has had some rain on it, so I'm getting ready to clean it up, and we'll pack it away, and then I'll be able to get to this outside. You know, working under these pull-out beds is not fun. You know, if I was 2'6", it'd be all right, but I'm almost 6'3", and it gets a little cramped working under here, so I'll be glad to get this thing put up. Let me show you what's going on the inside. Here's the water tank. Some of the fittings that I had taped off on the outside, you can see this one right here. It's a little hard to see, but you know, I can rub on that and you can see that chalky stuff. I mean, that's just how bad that fitting was. But you can look inside. This is sort of the reason I had to pull the tank off, but you can look at all the dirt that's accumulated in there over the years. And this is the fresh water storage tank. So it's pretty nasty, and you can see there how that's screwed on. And this is the top, but still had a lot of dirt. So I've gone and pulled that off. This is the mixer valve. And I've got to ask them what this is for. This is the valve that went under the sink. It actually went in like this. On this side, this is a fitting on the outside that hooks up your cold water supply. This trailer doesn't have a heater in it. You'd have to actually heat your own water, which is not a big deal. But you can hook up a hose to this and actually have pressurized water in here for the sink. And so this came in. This actually, this fitting here went to the tank. This went up to the sink up here at the top. So I'm going to replace this and find out how actually this functions, because it actually, like I said, it actually ran over to this tank. And so I want to see what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and replace these fittings here. Some of you probably watched my other videos. As you know, this trailer's pushing 30 years old. It was actually manufactured in 1983. It was purchased, it's a 1984 model. So it is 30 years old. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can see the dirt in there if I can get it to focus. You can see the dirt in there. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that fitting. Here's another fitting. This is the one that came over from this valve hooked up by this line here, and it actually had a filter on. I think I can pull that filter out. I will see. But if not, they'll probably have one at the RV place, and I'll get that one replaced as well. And that's just to keep the big contaminants out of your water system. So those will all need to get replaced. And I hadn't planned on doing that. Oh, sorry. But after getting into this, this is a fitting that was on the outside. This is where you hook your water hose out to, and it's sun rotted as well. I mean, you can see the white chalky stuff that comes off of it. There was a basically garden hose that ran from the drain out. I'm just going to replace it. But this was what was scary. This was a fitting. This is a drain for this tank that's on the outside. But if you can see down in there how nasty, moldy that is. See, that just snapped off. That's how bad that fitting is, that this stuff just crumbles. But you can see how nasty that is. And so we're just going to replace, that flies in here, replace all that. Here is the other hose. It's not so bad, but it's milky and chalky inside of it. So we're just going to go ahead and replace all of that. And I had to pull the refrigerator out to get it out. And I'll get in there and vacuum and clean. That probably hadn't been cleaned since the thing was manufactured. I checked the fittings on the gas line. They're good and tight. But before I put everything back together, I will go ahead and pressure everything up and check it with a little soapy water and make sure we're doing there. So we'll replace, we'll replace this line too. You know, it's only, this is maybe 3-4 feet. We have about 6-8 inches there, 5 inches of hose there. You know, it's not a lot of money to go in and do this, and so I'm going to do it right. This will also give me a chance to test out the integrity of the water tank, get it cleaned out, bleached out, have all new fittings in it, and we'll be in good shape once we get that done. This is the electrical down in here, transforming everything. This all works real well. I still need to do a little figuring out. We'll go in and get this cleaned out. This is where the water tank sits, and we'll get that cleaned out as well and go from there. So that's where we're at on the camper, YouTube. I appreciate you watching. It's coming along slowly but surely, but it's worth the time and effort. I know some of you have been posting that y'all have purchased some trailers, working on getting yours cleaned up. You probably have some more time than I do. I'll put a link down. I know somebody's actually redoing an entire top, and I'll link that in my videos, and I'll come on and add that on to the end of this one. So hang around, and I'll tell you who it is, then I'll provide a link down there in the bottom. Oh, one other thing. I was noticing, this is the bottom of the fridge, and it had a drain, and I noticed that when I pulled it out, you can probably see that hole right here. Okay, that was a drain for the ice box. We don't have a refrigerator in here, it's actually an ice box, and this is the drain in the bottom of the ice box. Pardon me just a second, I'll get this tip back up. And so when I was cleaning this out, there's a tray that goes inside of here that I've got pulled out that you're supposed to set your ice in, and the cold, you know, settles down in the bottom and keeps everything cold. And these things really work well. But the problem is it didn't have a drain hose. And so now that I've got everything pulled apart, I'll be able to get a drain hose hooked off that tray. That way, if we decide to use it as an ice box, it will be functional as an ice box, and get that fixed up well too. And go from there. So that's something that came about. You know, it's just these little things that you run into in these projects. Think, man, I'm making great way, and then you run into these, you know, this little bitty thing. But it's worth the time to go in and do it correctly, do it the proper way, and get everything back to normal. You know, when I pull this apart, if that fitting would have been good, I never would have seen how bad that line would have been. And if we would have had a situation where we were out camping, or, you know, heaven forbid, you know, a situation where we did have to leave and relocate for a while, you know, this could have caused some pretty severe illness. And then in a grid down situation, you know, medical aid might not have been too handy. So that's just one of those things. I'd rather go in and do it properly and know that it's done correctly and everything's safe and sound for my family. It's just one less thing that I have to worry about. But I appreciate you watching, YouTube. A lot of you have been leaving me some great comments on my videos. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the support that you're giving me and my channel. It really means a lot to me. It makes gives me some reasons to keep making these videos, because I know a lot of you are learning quite a bit off of these things. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching again, YouTube. And this is West Texas Prepper. Do what you can with what you have, where you're at.